More Summer of the Dead today with George Romero's Land of the Dead from 2005. It's time to get radical.
Ensure all residences are secure with all doors and windows firmly locked and barricaded.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Not people. Brains.
They're us. We're them, they're us.
Oh my God. You are dead.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
The pain of being dead.
Were you bitten? Were you bitten? Did any of the blood get in your mouth?
They have overrun us, you know. We're in the minority now. Something like 400,000 to 1 by my calculation.
My father always say, when the earth spit out the dead, they will come back to suck the blood of the living.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
It's another one for the fire.
Welcome back, Radical Ones, to the Summer of the Dead. We are covering another zombie movie today. As always, I am Radical Ryan Hunter, and I am joined today by everyone's favorite brother and mine, David, to talk Land of the Dead. David.
Well, in this string of zombie movies, if there was ever a time for everything as a weapon, it's in these movies.
I'm actually very excited to pick your mind about that, because in this movie, there was quite a few objects as well that were used around the Fiddler's Green.
By people and zombies, actually. They picked up my motto, too. See? I'm reaching people, the living and the dead, through my words.
Amen. And that explains what happened with this movie, I think.
I am your Jaga, zombies.
This is a 2005 post-apocalyptic horror film written and directed by George Romero. We've been covering a lot of Romero's movies. We both are Romero fans. This is the fourth in his Living Dead series. This was actually, though, done due to the success of a remake of Dawn of the Dead in 2004, the year earlier, as well as Shaun of the Dead, kind of brought back the zombie genre. And this was a long time coming, David. This was since Day of the Dead in 85. Fans had wanted Romero to do another movie, and this was it. So this was the long-awaited sequel. George Romero, his Dead movies, though, he always says they're not connected, but I don't know. In my continuity...
This movie was full of cameos.
Well, that's the thing.
Zombios.
Well, let's just say it. You're right. We get Blades from Dawn of the Dead, Tom Savini, reprising his character, so that would put it in the world of Dawn of the Dead. Because even I remember at the time, they said that they made him bloated looking because the character fell into the fountain in Monroeville Mall.
Well, you also have Bub and Elish. Isn't there? There's a zombie that looks just like him to me.
Well, we get this Bub, which is Big Daddy, and I have a lot of problems with Big Daddy, and I think we've talked about this since 2005, David. I mean, we'll get into it.
Why don't you give them the premise of the movie so we can get kind of... Because this is actually Romero's biggest budget movie. Had actually, like, star, you know?
Yes,
like
you're right.
John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, right?
Dennis Hopper, Simon... I always want to call him Simon Cowell, but Simon Baker, Asia Argento, who is Dario Argento's daughter.
Can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
Simon, what's his name? Simon what?
Baker.
So he starred in a movie where there was a black woman dating a white guy for the first time. And all throughout this whole movie, all I can think about is how when this woman was out with her girlfriends, how they were talking about his pink pecker.
He's talking, of course, about 2006's Something New, which happened right after this came out. Yes, I love that movie as well.
And I have been something new as well, too. I remember when I first went up with my first Latino boyfriend, and I was the only white guy, and I was something new, all right?
You were something new! You brought something new to the table. Pink peckers, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if he would have offered that up during the movie, it would have been a little more interesting, his character. Oh, God, David.
get you, Barbara.
The unburied dead are coming back to life, seeking human victims. We don't know how many of them there are.
Do you think we'll be able to defeat these things?
We don't really know.
And moving toward the city.
There's nothing there, man.
They're communicating, they're thinking.
George A. Romero's Land of the Dead.
Zombies, man. They creep me out.
This is Land of the Dead, also known as George Romero's Land of the Dead. It is preceded by Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and succeeded by Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead. It was released in 2005 with a budget of 15 to 19 million, which was, like David said, Romero's biggest budget that he was able to do with one of these zombie movies. And I wonder
if that's where the formula got messed up.
I wonder. So, David, let's get into it. The story of Land of the Dead takes place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, much like most of Romero's movies at the time.
It's like John Waters and everything's in Baltimore.
Exactly. This is the capital of zombies, I guess.
Anyway, well, it's Pittsburgh. What can you say?
The region is protected by two sides, a river, and a third by an electric barricade that survivors term The Throat. Released in North America on June 24th of 2005, Land of the Dead received mostly positive reviews from film critics. I saw this, David, about 3 times locally off the block growing up because I was so happy to have a authentic George Romero zombie experience.
Yeah.
At the time, I really enjoyed it for what it was. It was never my favorite, but going back again now, I mean, my God, this was the year after I graduated high school, so this is a long time ago. Off the cusp, what are your feelings of the entirety of the movie, having been a fan, of course, of night, dawn, day?
I was so happy that George Romero got his day in the sun, so to speak, with a high budget. Did I feel like they kind of threw, like, what's the expression, throwing the baby out with the bathwater? I don't know. They threw so much.
Everything?
They threw everything in this movie. However, I'm going to say that, to me, I know that George Romero always has been an ally of the underdog because he was the underdog. And I also know that he was very anti-racism and a lot of negative things. And so I like the fact that the big guy was a black man.
Yes, Big Daddy. And to David's point, not to cut you off, that is the reason he always has African-American heroes usually in his movie, and to Romero, the zombies were the heroes in this movie, and that is why he had Big Daddy.
I actually like the plot of it, because we've talked about this. Yes, if there is a zombie apocalypse, I would definitely want to find a safe place, an island.
Yes.
That is protected, where you can have some semblance of a life, as opposed to running all the time and just people dying and you losing part of your crew every time you go to another town or someplace.
Right.
So this movie also speaks to the fact of the hierarchy that we have into society today. You have the bourgeoisie, and you have like the very affluent and rich who are surviving off the backs of the peons. Still, they're sending these people out to scavenge everything from food, alcohol, necessities, clothing, and they're like they're like, he has these, the head of this place, this Fiddler's Green, has mercenaries that does all this work, including killing his enemies. So if you read into the movie that way, there's a lot to be said, because it is very true to the society and the world in general. You have the very, very rich at the very top of the tier, 1%, and then you have the little guys who are killing themselves, literally and figuratively speaking, to give them everything they desire with little or no work on the part of the rich people. It's like they have money, they have this, and how this operates is the peons take care of everything, including all the risk. And then you have people dining at restaurants and living life and shopping and very expensive stores.
And electricity, too. Electricity, mall area.
And the other thing is, there is sympathy for the zombies in this movie where they're not in a lot of other things, because these zombies tend to be more cognitive of what's going on around them. They kind of much like Shaun of the Dead, where the zombies are used to like push grocery carts because they used to be they used to be a bag boy at a grocery store, or Fido, the movie Fido. Remember that movie?
Yes.
Much like that, these zombies do hold on to some sort of, like, if you're an actor, you pretend that you'd still be in like, I don't know,
yeah, they're like really stuck. He seemed to really give them.
If there was musicians still have the guitar in hand, the lovers are still holding hands, you know, things like that. So I have to give it to him in that sense, because he's saying that there's still something left of that person. They're still savages, they're still rotting corpses, but there is a little spark in them that's still there, which also kind of lends itself to the movie, which I really like, Warm Bodies. It's kind of a romantic, it's kind of the Twilight of zombie movies, but
it really is, but it's
adorable.
Like it.
It's adorable. It warms my heart. My dead little heart.
Just like it did the zombies in that movie, right?
To that, what you said is basically, that's what I got out of Land of the Dead. The cruelty of humanity, even under under the circumstances that the world has gone dead, and there's very little of us left, and there's outposts. It's very similar to the most scenarios, like The Walking Dead, where there's different things and places set up.
Well, that is actually perfect, what I wanted to get into, David. You set that up perfectly. Okay, a few things I noticed right off the bat. Now, you currently don't watch the Walking Dead, right? I mean, it's in its last, thank God, season.
I wanted to honestly wait.
It's finally ending.
The last episode, I'm going to tell you the truth. The last episodes I saw are when Negan.
Oh, so you got
Negan was in the prison. Like inside their prison, and like there was some parts where there was, I'm Alpha, the bald crazy woman that kills everything.
Too bad. Okay,
so I saw some of that. Then. I saw some of that too, but then I just kind of I loved the whole thing of having it, but I got tired of it. I got tired of like Negan having this. I knew Negan was going to have this, what do you call it, redemption story. You killed Glenn. You raped women. There is no redemption for you. I'm sorry. You can cry all you want. You can feel sorry for you want. Lucille, he should have been beaten with a bat, to be perfectly honest.
And they have him paired up with Maggie now too, and they have him as this anti-hero, and it's hard.
It's a hard pill to swallow. Absolutely not. I don't. And then like
I don't mean like together physically with Maggie.
No.
I mean really trying to like make her like him.
And then like the whole thing like Carl wouldn't have wanted it. No, Carl didn't have his husband bashed in the head to death while you were pregnant, and Carl is not just because he saw Bambi in the woods once and got shot doesn't make him. I see beautiful things all around me. I like weeds. There are beautiful weeds growing in my backyard that I think better than some of the flowers I've planted. That doesn't mean that I should be the Maya Angelou or the savior of the dead world. So that's kind of where, oh my God, I really went crazy. I am watching it. I am going to watch it once I know it's over with. And the other thing is, I didn't like with Crazy Girl that, trying to be crazy Mila Jovovich girl that he's an alpha A or a B or whatever the hell she was talking about when they took what's his name.
Oh, thank God she's gone too. Oh, thank God. But she comes up on spin-offs. There's spin-offs. I gave up on them,
I like her as an actress. I think she does an amazing job, but I don't like the character. And I don't like when the bridge blew up and they took him away in the helicopter. I just because he wanted to leave the show, let's be honest, right? And he wanted to do.
And they didn't want to kill.
And Maggie left to do that show with the doll.
Yeah,
it didn't work out, right? And then
she came back.
Did she do a cop show too or something?
Mm-hmm.
So again, I love you listen, just like all things, they must come to an end. And I don't want to trash it because I do actually like it. I wanted to know there was a definitive end to it so that I could savor it and go through and actually see the things, because there are so many parts of that show that I actually love and still do. With even when Herschel, I cried. I can't tell you how many times I rewound that stupid barn scene when Sophia came out. I was crying. And then when they took on the zombies, when they actually broke into the settlement and they were doing that slash scene, I must have rewound that 1,000 times.
It used to be good.
And I actually like Fear the Walking Dead, and I have to finish that too. So
I did too, actually. I have to catch up on that. But with that, this last season, which was it's cut up into 3 parts. What I was going to get at is there is a town now that is similar similar to Fiddler's Green, where people have jobs, life is normal again. So this is where they're currently in. Of course, I'm sure it's going to go badly. It's run by a politician who I'm assuming is going to turn out to be bad at the end.
The big bad?
Yeah.
She's going to be the big bad.
There always has to be one every season. And long story short, life has gone back to normal. There's jobs again. And much like Land of the Dead, I think Robert Kirkman, who wrote the comic book Walking Dead and then this series, he was inspired by Romero. That's why he made The Walking Dead. But even in this, David, did you notice they called them walkers? And this is prior to The Walking Dead. At one point, Riley, who's played by Simon Baker, calls them walkers. And then it's not crazy to think that establishment would go back to this, but I wonder if he had this in his mind too when he was coming up with these stories for Walking Dead, because there is this place where life goes back to normal. There's people who are actors, they have bakeries. It's crazy. It's like the world never ended in this place. So that's what's happening here. But we do see, like David said, there's a class structure. There's people who are on the streets. There's
prostitution,
drugs going around, a ring of almost like a dog fighting ring, but they're using humans now, which is where we got one of her characters.
And you also find out later in the movie that the head honcho of this, which is played by Dennis Hopper,
Kaufman, yes,
is actually the one feeding the drugs to keep down a certain class of people. So they have this lower class to do their bidding.
This is exactly reality based. I think this is exactly what would happen when people get power.
Absolutely.
So let me just ask you, the characters, you know what I think really is a lot of fault of this movie? Romero gave us a lot of these, and he's good for this. He likes to come up with these character names and these quirky characters, even back in Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, right? He gives like these people like these characteristics. I think he was trying too much in this movie, and I don't know if it's the actors, but everyone comes off dull. These are not Rogers or Peters or Fran's, and even though Fran was a downer, maybe people say in Dawn of the Dead, these characters don't speak to me, maybe because it's not as close to my heart as the other movies in the series, but I think the characters are kind of dull.
I'm going to challenge you on this. The reason why they may come off dull to you, maybe that's how they're written, but it's because they've been living through it much more and longer than the people in the mall or the people that just got attacked for the first time. They are downtrodden. They are defeated. All of their loved ones they know are dead. They are going out and basically being the trash collector and the human garbage that feeds the system and knowing it. And again, I'm not getting political. I'm Dolly Parton. Don't get political. It's basically a lot of people don't realize that they're stuck in the machine, like the hamster wheel, as they call it, like we are right now. So, but these people know it because society has collapsed. So I'm going to say they're dull because they're cruddy, they're tired, they're dirty, they're probably not showering, and they see that there's a better life, but they're never going to get it.
Okay, you know what? I think that's a great explanation.
They're miserable.
Okay.
They're miserable.
I mean, they are. Everyone in this movie.
There is a tower of gold and rainbow and sunshine and rainbows coming and freaking unicorns, and you're living in darkness, filth, despair,
on the streets, basically.
You will never get there, and you'll never get it, and you'll always be looked down upon. But you're the one on your back is feeding them. So I'm going to say that. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, because I don't think any of these. I don't think I've ever seen anybody of this crew other than the pink pecker. I'm going to call him
Simon Baker, John Leguizamo. Yeah, I mean Dennis Hopper.
In anything else per se, so I can't say they went on to illustrious acting. Except for that one, the actress.
Asia Argento. She's done things and other things in her life.
Wait a minute, hold on. Didn't she have an affair with an underage guy? But you ain't heard that from me, because I ain't one to gossip.
I looked it up, David. She met him in a movie when he was 7 years old. And then when he was 14 or something, she gave him alcohol or something and drugs. So I saw her with a kid, like she was a full adult at the time, 30 something years old. And he was like 16, I don't know, something around that age. But she was in a movie with him earlier at 7, and she was an adult too at the time.
I don't know if I should even say this. That's the whole Renee and Celine Dion thing. We may have to cut that part out because you ain't heard that from me, because poor Celine is, she's destroyed, that poor woman. Anyway, moving on.
What do you think about the plot when we start off the movie with the sky flowers, they call it, the fireworks that the survivors have been using as a distraction? I think it's great building on what we saw in Dawn, where they use the flares and things like that. So this is great, but do you think the progression with Big Daddy walks right out of that gas station, I think it's not just the character being too smart, I'm okay with that. It's the fact that this actor, Eugene Clark, walks, moves like he is alive still. There's not a rotten step in this man's walk. Every movement he does is like a fluent, I'm alive. Like, too over the top for me, David. He, even when the sky flowers, they call it, the fireworks are going off, he realizes
maybe he's recently dead.
Is he though? He looks like, I mean, they all kind of, you can't tell in this movie. They all kind of seem fresh, but then some of them seem a little...
Maybe he got the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice.
I'll take it. But I think it's just too over the top. We saw this with Romero with Day of the Dead, and I know he's building on this. We're them, and it's.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The use of this character is the same thing as Bub when he teaches the other zombies, because he's been conditioned by that psycho doctor dude.
But didn't he do it better? He acted more dead than this guy who's just like.
But we don't know how long he's been dead.
I guess that's the sticking point. How long has this been happening?
I know where you're going with this. It's too much like, okay, between that and Dead Reckoning, which is like the name of a
the vehicle
video game, which I've played. It's right. It's a video game, right? Because I know I've played this, right? Dead Reckoning. So anyway, between that and that, those are the two things. Okay, we accept the fact that the dead come back to life. We accept that they eat people. We've seen it over the years, since Black and White, since Night of the Living Dead. So we accept that as just that could happen. The CDC accepts it. Everybody seems to accept that it could happen.
They're warning us already. Yeah, they got that survival guide.
So I think the fact that this is some like video game ridiculous vehicle, what is it actually made of? It's not a tractor trailer. It's not a tank. Is it? It's got regular rubber tires, so it's not like a tank.
The driver even says it's like a video game. What's her pretty boy? Everyone has a name in this movie. Romero
like
went
Flyboy.
Over the top. Yeah.
Flyboy.
Everyone's got to have a name. Pretty Boy, Foxy, Mouse. Everyone has a name in this movie. Cholo. Exactly.
I dated some cholos. Anyway, so I agree with you. I think that's where you're upset. I don't think you're upset with necessarily the whole plot.
I'm okay with that, and I would accept the tools because, I mean, you mentioned this earlier on something else. Barbara in Night of the Living Dead, the zombie does pick up a brick and starts breaking the window, but he does it in more of a aloof way. I think what really got me, David, is that part when Big Daddy has the head in his hand after it was shot off, and he was smart enough to throw it on the ground, stamp it out, because he knew that was killing it. He put two to two together that he's going to save this zombie who's tortured because he's going to kill it, and then he screams like, "Arr!"
Well, I think this movie was designed to make the surviving humans the villain and the zombies to be the victim of, because they're just trying to survive, and the only way they survive is by eating people, even though they deteriorate and disintegrate, much like we do over time. Just less fast. Depending on who we are. I've seen some people that have aged a little faster than me. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And is it by far my most favorite? No. Does it have a place for me? Yeah, I have a place for it, because there is much to be said about hierarchy. There's much to be said about, what would happen if the dead were allowed to just do their thing and not have to cross paths with human beings. Because also the human beings in this movie, again, these mercenary people that go out, because they're so tainted, they get a kick out of murdering and killing.
It's like
people.
the biker gang.
If it was me, I would be doing it just to survive. Like, I'm not going to kill a bunch of zombies. One, I wouldn't waste the ammo because I think it's wasteful and stupid.
Yeah.
Secondly, I am not trying to be a hero. And third, I would be doing it to survive and protect. I would not be doing it because I get a kick out of again, when Servini was with the biker gang and they, went into the mall, like when they're playing around, they all got murdered. Half of them got murdered for being stupid.
Blood pressure machines, taking TVs, breaking TVs, pies in the face.
So this is again talking about we are just as savage as we view these. We're the boogeyman. We're the monster under the bed and in the closet because we're brutalizing them. I mean, obviously, when we cross paths with them, they're going to try to eat you for food.
Yes.
But much like if we were starving and we came across a fish, a cow, or whatever else you might eat, or berries, whatever you're going to eat, we would take it and consume it too because that's what we want to do because we're hungry. So if we had left them alone, they wouldn't be bothering us. They're antagonizing them. They're antagonizing them with everything that they do.
You know what, though? Is it fair, and I get it, because people are terrible, including the people in this movie, but is it fair for those people at the end? The most I get out of this movie that's chilling to me is always that scene where they're fenced in, the humans with the electric fence trying to escape, and the zombies are cornering them. I feel bad for that whole group of people that are just killed. The people off the street who just had nothing to do. I mean, I know it's part of the whole thing, and it's based on the decisions.
So let me ask you something. Would you have not, before the zombies crowded you in, would you not have tried to run past them, so to speak?
Yes, because
that's what I would have done.
They're slow. We can walk right past them.
I would have taken whoever I was with and we would have darted a path through. I would hit them with whatever I had. The one guy was like a businessman. He had a briefcase. I would have taken the briefcase and at least used it to push them aside.
Like everything is a weapon. Yes, David. Yes, even a briefcase. Everything's a weapon with David.
I'm not saying everybody would have made it, but I would have not waited to be picked on. And if in fact they did get the power down to the electric fence, it's still like going through barbed wire. You would have never made it that way anyway. So what is the difference?
I thought the same thing.
What is the difference? So I would have just darted and I would have found safety and hoped that they put the barbed wire, the electric down and me get out after the fact. So you know what? Again, you have to use your head in these situations. It's like actually being like, let's say, God forbid, you're ever in a situation where you're in a theater or something, and there's a stampede of people.
Yeah,
you know what? There might be a situation going on, like a fire, or unless it's like a gunman, and you're like they're right up in your face. You can step aside and let everybody trample each other for 5 more seconds, and try to sneak another way and find the other exit that nobody's running towards. If you're smart enough to do that, I know it's scary.
Ooh.
But it could save your life again. So.
No, but I've said that in my head, David, seeing this scene over the years, I said the same exact thing because I mean, we don't see the whole area, but they're spread out enough that these people could have survived. But it is terrible.
But it's also the fact that a lot of those people are the more pretty, and they're not used to having to fight off. They're scared. They're not used to having to fight off any kind of thing because they live in the ivory tower. So again, it talks about how if these people had to actually do a day's hard work, they wouldn't survive. Again, it's like taking the rich man whose daddy was a millionaire and gave them the millions. And then what was it? A couple of months ago, what was it like Kim Kardashian? I'm talking like maybe 4 or 5 months ago when she said, nobody wants to work anymore. And that was a big, nobody wants to work for you because you don't pay your people.
And what's her work? She sits there.
You come from generational wealth. I'm not even bagging on Kim. I know that. Listen, those girls do work in the sense of they have to go to photo shoots, they have to go to movie premieres, they're always do makeup and this. They're doing it. They have a team of people, but they do what they're supposed to. Like they're
yes.
So they do work. But when you're trying to say, trying to put down somebody who is working like 3 jobs to support their family, saying nobody wants to work. Well, you come from generational wealth. So again, I know this is probably off topic. Well, not really, because it goes with it. And it's been, I'm telling you, I think that they said something like March or something that came up.
But that's, again, Romero's thought about people who have, who are more wealthy than others and how they treat people. But I did like the aspect of this place, Fiddler's Green, that it should try to get back to normal in some aspects. I don't like that it was exclusive, but I feel like I would have liked more with Romero's movies. What I want from them are more of a isolated feeling, almost like the Dawn of the Dead, kind of a core group of maybe 4 characters. And not that they always have to be the same, but there were so many characters, so many people. I think, again, that weakened it because he didn't focus on 2 giving these characters maybe more of a personality besides, I'm downtrodden, I'm this is me, I'm the military person, I'm this person. Character types.
But have you ever been in a room and been the loneliest person there?
I would have wanted that on film, though. I mean, because we get empty streets, we get that ambiance of this.
But those
world
people
is
feel
over.
abandoned. Those people feel abandoned. So John Leguizamo's character Cholo thinks that by doing all the dirty work, including getting rid of bodies of Dennis Hopper's enemies. Inside Fiddler's Green, not to be confused with Fiddler on the Roof. If I was a rich man.
Yeah, every time I was like, okay, Fiddler's Green.
He is hoping that he will make it into the ivory tower of Fiddler's Green. And basically the guy tells him, after he gets somebody killed, by the way, to go to a liquor store to get expensive champagne and Cuban cigars, I would imagine. He gets the guy killed to get it, and she tries to. So the two parts of this. He pours the champagne into like a tumbler.
Font. Oh, yeah, like a tumbler.
A tumbler glass that would be more for like soda or a mixed drink. And the guy basically says, you'll never be part of this, no matter what you do. And he pours the champagne into a champagne flute glass, which is, now don't be thinking I'm bougie, girlfriend, because I got these things for my wedding when I got married in 2015. And they said, when I did my registry, they said, put anything on, whatever your little heart desires and fantasize that you always had. And I got red wine, and I got white wine glasses, Lennox, and I got some champagne glasses. And I now know the difference. So anyway, don't be coming for me because I didn't send for you. The point is, John Leguizamo's character is too rough. And even though he did all this for this guy and he was this guy's mercenary, he
promised him that he
promised him he's not the type, and he actually does say something derogatory. I think he calls him the S word later on.
Well, let's face it, Kaufman is supposed to be a rich racist character, and a matter of fact, he has a butler, we'll just say, and Romero makes him manservant. Romero makes him almost that character of, I want to say, like a 50s, 30s, 40s.
It's like he's trying to convey the fact that this man has this black man, almost like the whole mammy thing. Like,
yes, that's exactly what I got from it, yes.
But this is what I like about George Romero. He's shoving it in your face. Like, this man actually has done more in these horror genre movies talking about race, even at the end of the war, practically the end of society, that this stuff still exists because people are horrible human beings.
And people are still after money. Money,
talking about characters. The other thing is that the Pink Pecker dude, I'm just going to refer him as Pink Pecker.
Riley
he's been squirreling money away to buy a car to get out because he doesn't want to be part of this society anymore.
In Romero's fashion, they always are trying to get to Canada in this movies. I guess because Romero moved to Canada in the 90s and he lived there, but since Dawn of the Dead, Fran thought Canada was the safe place. They're trying to get to Canada, but I don't know if that's the smartest idea.
You ain't heard that from me, because I ain't one to gossip. Overtaken by zombies.
They're always heading off to Canada as this thing. But yeah, he tried to buy a car. It was stolen. We see more of the seedy underground of Fiddler's Green. What did you think about that close-up, which I thought was a total Romero shot of the fake birds in the bird cage? I thought that was... Yes. I liked what he was doing, and I liked the homages to the past. And I love that idea of these rich people have these fake birds, and it's kind of like, it's okay. It's
because
like normal.
But it's also the fact that they're so plastic and phony and living these lives that they just have fake birds. They're living in a fool's paradise. They don't also know that it's what's the famous line? A prison too, Fran.
I mean, it's true. It's true. And by the way, we get quite a number of focal point zombies, I would call them. Like lead zombies, let's just say, out of the zombies. We get more ones that are lead. We have number 9, who is a female zombie with a baseball bat.
And a cheerleader's outfit, right? A cheerleader's outfit?
There is a cheerleader, and she's still holding pom-poms. That's what I'm like, okay, Romero, would that cheerleader really just be thinking, I'm a cheerleader and that's all I got to do?
I still might be holding a bag of Hershey's.
Well, you know what? That's different. You're a zombie. You're supposed to be eaten. Not cheering. I mean, whatever the case is, he's done that forever. But did you notice the butcher zombie, who again Big Daddy commanded these zombies too well.
He showed him that there was a place to hit. He actually moved his arm like an aperture on a doll or whatever. Is that what the word I'm looking for?
Yes,
and he made him do it. So he's teaching. He's like, wake up. He's the one that's awake and everyone else is still asleep. So he's waking these people up, zombie people.
Because he even gives number 9, she's about to beat someone with her baseball bat, and he gives her a gun. But I just want to mention the butcher zombie. Did you recognize him? Because he
looks very familiar.
The year before Dawn of the Dead remake as the Tucker, the guy who was the one he was shooting at when they were dragging him in the sewer at the end.
I couldn't place it.
So he's got the Ving Rhames thing of I'm just going to be in zombie movies after Dawn of the Dead.
I would do it.
That's him.
That's what I talk about, characters, people doing the same thing. Listen, if he can make a living off of it, I'd do it too. I'd be obese zombie walking around.
Well, we did get a character named Pillsbury. Again, another character, Pillsbury, who was a military character. Everyone had maybe at the end of the world, everyone will just, David will be called whatever he wants to be called.
Zombieland. What's their names? It goes by the state or the town, whatever they were, Tallahassee or whatever. So there's a lot. If you look at this from the perspective of society and collapsing society and hierarchies and stuff, there's definitely a lot to be said. There's a lot of kill scenes. There's a lot of stupidity because I wouldn't be wearing headphones if I was unprotected someplace where zombies could be.
That's
stupid people.
Another thing, they let him out drinking. They give him alcohol. This guy Mouse the whole thing again is John Leguizamo's character. After he was screwed, he decides to take Dead Reckoning, this machine like David was talking about, this video game-esque zombie killing vehicle, which I guess is smart and purpose. And again, it goes back to the Dawn of the Dead remake when they fortify the buses to kind of get through the zombies. I get it, but they're trying to destroy Fiddler's Green unless money is taken.
But let's ask you something: if you leave Fiddler's Green, what do you do with the money? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like,
yes, exactly. That's the whole thing. I'm like, even these characters, it all comes down to they're killing themselves.
Remember when we did Sugar Hill?
She
said, "Take it. You think this solves all your problems? See where it's gonna get you where you're going."
Exactly, because even if they mention there's an outpost that they haven't heard from in another state, Ohio maybe, or Chicago, they said, who says that money's good over there?
Yeah, I don't get that.
They killed themselves for nothing, especially if Fiddler Green is falling. This ain't gonna be built up again, so that's it. So this money ain't gonna be worth it. But I guess that's down to stupidity again. Wasting your life on something like this. So,
power, greed, and stupidity, and fear.
Fear as well, yes. I mean, that goes back to Dawn of the Dead, Flyboy, at the end with the mole. They took it. It's ours. We took, people do this, and we've seen in video games, especially zombie video games, like David and I always say, so everyone's going to lose their mind and become psychopaths at the end of the world, much like Dead Rising.
Thanks. Everyone has lost their mind. They still have. The way these people act over you, like, the sky is blue. How dare you say the sky is blue? The sun is going to explode and we're all going to die and I'm going to kill you first. I'm like, whoa, you can't even be nice to somebody anymore.
COVID ruined these zombie movies for you in a way, David, because I think it made people wash their hands for the first time.
I tell every doctor and whatever I go to, it took a pandemic for people to realize they should wash their hands. Which I know they're not doing now because everyone's getting sick with every type of thing now again. Wipe your booty and don't wash your hands. Unless you're like me and you have a bidet attachment. No. Squishy tushies.
I bet you Kaufman had one up in his ivory tower. So, David, earlier titles included Twilight of the Dead, Dead City, and Dead Reckoning. But Romero said in an interview that one of the first potential film studios, 20th Century Fox, wanted the film to be titled Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, hell no.
He refused, wanting to use the title Dead Reckoning, and the studio then wanted it to be titled Night of the Living Dead, Dead Reckoning. It turned out that Fox sought to own the rights of Night of the Living Dead franchise, and Romero decided not to do business with them. The film is the highest budgeted film in the series to date, and the film draws some elements from the original script from Day of the Dead 85, which actually, due to budget cuts, was not the original Day of the Dead that we were supposed to get. It was going to take place on an island.
Have a couple of babies.
that island, I'm assuming. And the zombies on that island were going to be trained zombies to fight for the military. So this is kind of his idea going back to 85. And that's kind of where Bub came from, because he condensed the script and put it in a bunker because he didn't have the green to do the island setting unless the end. Sneaky Fox, because we know that Night of the Living Dead isn't copyrighted. So if you get the title Night of the Living Dead, that they could have did a million reboots then and called it Night of the Living Dead. So I'm glad Romero stuck to his guns.
Didn't get screwed over, which he has before because of the original and how many times it's been stolen.
To this day, they're still making Night of the Living Dead. David and I are going to make a Living Dead movie.
Listen, at 4 o'clock in the 5 o'clock in the morning, when the dog wakes me up or the kids are waking me up, I am Dawn of the Dead. It's the dawn, and I feel dead. Honestly, I thank Romero for all he did, because I love this genre, even though it's grotesque. It makes me happy. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to wrap up this movie, the core group, the people that were in Dead Reckoning, the people that were alive still, that character Charlie who kept saying, "Look at me, you could see this. Look at me, you could see this. Just look at me, you could see that I've had a hard life." That poor guy who was kind of, he had the half face, who's also an actor in other things. They all survive on Dead Reckoning. They kind of kill the zombies, and they make a hole in the fence for people to survive. And they're like, "Look, you did that. You survived." But again, even at the end, Big Daddy's so smart that he could look, even though Riley's looking with binoculars to see the zombies walking. And like, he's so smart that he could see in the distance that people are looking at him and like, ugh.
Well, maybe it's because it's Dead Reckoning has lights on it and stuff, and they can see it and hear it.
See, David's helping me with this. I don't want to beat it down, because Romero can still make a zombie movie, a decent zombie movie, over, let's say, a Sci-Fi Channel movie of the week. So, of course, if I had to pick one, I would always pick Romero. But even Romero fans, such as ourselves, this is not as high. Maybe this is someone's favorite. I'll be glad to hear it. But I think I wanted to love it more than I did. Listen, I could watch Still Dawn of the Dead
Romero's
100 times over.
Whole like career, or what have you want to say, of what he does. He's always been the underdog. He has always been screwed over in some way. He's also lost the rights or never had the rights to certain things. He has perpetually been ruined throughout his time. Yeah. And honestly, but at the same time, the one thing stays true. His fan base of people that love his ideas and what he represents and what he's done. His commitment to, like you said, fighting the big guy and racism and all these different types of things that he subtly and sometimes unsubtly puts things into movies. And he does have that where people have been loyal to him. And he's faced so much adversity. Even now you're saying that Fox was trying to finagle stuff to screw him over. I mean, even up until when he's done it, he still stayed true to what he likes to do and what his passion was. So I commend him on that. It's a testament. Like, he has changed. He might not be the most well-known, and maybe he's never received an award or had, Meryl Streep playing a movie for him and laugh, and while she's giving him the golden trophy, whatever, but he definitely has, I don't know, done a lot for me as far as what he represents and the entertainment factor alone.
I mean, let's face it, he made the golden age of zombies. He made the modern zombie. Without Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, we wouldn't have had Walking Dead.
Even The Walking Dead, again, kudos to the creator and writer of The Walking Dead and the comic book series and everything.
Robert Kirkman.
He took a lot of cues from Romero. And very much so. Just like we talked about, like Ryan Murphy takes stuff from different pop culture things and meshes them together. He has done that as well.
Yes.
And I do understand the premise. There's only so many times you can say someone gets bit, they turn into a zombie. Somebody dies, they turn into a zombie. I get that. But he definitely, and it's because he loved it so much. I don't think he set out to be like a millionaire based on his writing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because, again, George Romero and the genre also spoke to him, and he made a whole career of it, and I commend him. I think it's great. I think it's amazing, and every time I've ever seen him on any kind of interviews, he seems like a very nice man. So
jolly man. Oh, you mean the Walking Dead guy?
No, the Walking
Romero.
Dead guy. And poor Romero won't be making anymore unless he comes back as his own zombie.
Well, his son evidently is working on a script of a movie that he was
working on. His father was. in the
zombie script. So it seems like he has a lot of films, they said, written that didn't get, because unfortunately Romero got stuck. He loved his zombies in a way, but it also was a curse because he couldn't make any other movies. Everyone wanted only zombie movies from him.
Maybe the reason why the other movies were also super successful, in the sense that people had he had a following, was because even the actors that were in the movies were big fans and loved what they were doing. A lot of those people were not real actors. They never went on to film careers. They literally were just Zombie 37, but they loved it so much that they stayed in makeup the whole time because they loved it so much and they were so into it. And that's where we talk about indie films and low budget and people coming up getting nominated because of low budget things because they had a passion for it versus big bucks like World War Z.
You're right. And without studio interference and things like that. So, I mean, all in all, I definitely recommend it. I'm sure if you're listening to this episode, you've probably heard of it, seen it. I don't know when the last time you might have seen it, but I would recommend it. Out of the Dead series, I guess I would put it fourth. Honestly, out of the four main
and if you
titles.
would like a lighter zombie-esque feel, go with Shaun of the Dead, Warm Bodies, and a movie that I just saw recently where I laughed out loud. The Scout's Guide to the the Scout's Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse or the Zombie Apocalypse. Funny as hell. Funny as hell. Even though Cloris Leachman was in God Rest Her Soul, that she said she was afraid of fat people and she don't like them. That really...
Yeah, she wasn't she?
She
did
they're
say
grotesque
that.
or whatever. I won't hold it against you, girl, even though I'm not happy with you. Because you're dead.
You've gone down. You've gone now.
But you ain't heard that from me, again, because I'm not one to gossip. Mrs. Garrett was still better. Okay? On Facts of Life, sorry.
Oh, there was no comparison between...
Today. Anyway. If you want to reach David, it's Universal Appeal 2020.
And that is one word on Instagram. And the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast, also one word on Instagram. Thank you for joining us again, Radical Ones, for our Summer of the Dead. I'm channeling Baron Zomny from Sugar Hill there. We will be back next week with an all-new episode. David, thank you so much for joining us again this week.
Bye.
And just remember, they're dead. They're all messed up. Bye.